What if Caitlin Clark was named WNBA's first player coach? To be clear, this is just an idea. But what if Caitlin Clark was named the WNBA's first player coach? It'd be yet another history-making moment for the generational women's basketball star of the Indiana Fever. The thought spawned while watching the WNBA All-Star Game. Clark was a team captain and picked her roster, but then an injury prevented her from playing. So instead, there she was on the sideline, encouraging players and drawing up plays. Clearly, it's not the same as a competitive game environment, but it was awesome. Clark is the face of the Fever. She's the face of the WNBA. It wouldn't be a crazy leap to name her player coach. Obviously, her assistance would be crucial. When Clark is healthy and on the floor most of the game, someone would have to worry about substitutions and some strategy changes while Clark played. But it would be a chance for the WNBA and Clark to draw even more interested observers to their sport. One of the NBA's all-time greats, Bill Russell, was a player coach at the end of his career. It went out of vogue once more money came in, and it made sense to just have separate coaches. Clark could stand alone in league history, even more than she already does, though. It almost certainly won't happen, but it's quite the fun idea. Why not? It started as a rumor on social media, a wild tweet by a Fever fan during a mid-season slump. Let Caitlin Clark coach too. She's already running the offense better than the bench. No one took it seriously. Not at first. But when Indiana Fever general manager Lynn Dunn held an emergency press conference 2 weeks later, all eyes were glued to the live stream. What followed shocked the league. Effective immediately, Caitlin Clark will assume responsibilities as player coach for the remainder of the season. She wasn't just a floor general anymore. She was the one calling plays, managing rotations, and yes, drawing up inbound sets with a whiteboard during timeouts. The WNBA had just named its first ever player coach, and the honor belonged to a 23-year-old rookie. The breaking point. The move wasn't just a publicity stunt. Indiana's season had been spiraling. The team, stocked with talent like Aaliyah Boston and Alyssa Smith, had underachieved. Fans booed questionable rotations. Players seemed disengaged. Head coach Christy Sides had reportedly lost the locker room, and leadership voids became gaping chasms. Behind closed doors, Clark was already doing more than most rookies. She was breaking down film, redirecting teammates mid-possession, drawing up sets in the huddle when the coaching staff hesitated. After a string of embarrassing losses, the front office made a bold call: go all in on the future. Clark wasn't just the face of the franchise anymore. She was the mind behind it. Trial by fire. Clark's first game as player coach came against the Las Vegas Aces, defending champions and undisputed alpha dogs of the league. Every analyst predicted disaster. Instead, it was a masterclass. Caitlin dropped 29 points and 13 assists while managing rotations with startling efficiency. She staggered minutes to keep shooters fresh, called timeouts like a seasoned vet, and even ran a box-and-one on Aya Wilson late in the fourth, a defensive wrinkle rarely seen in the W. The Fever won, 88-84. She coached like she'd been doing it for 5 years, said Aces guard Chelsea Gray. And she still had gas in the tank to drop daggers from 30 feet. That's scary. The new sideline look. Instead of the traditional suit or warm-up gear, Clark wore an earpiece and a modified jersey with pockets sewn into the sides. One for a mini clipboard, the other for a dry erase marker. She huddled the team during stoppages with the urgency of someone who knew every second counted. And in film sessions? Legendary. Teammates said Clark's scouting reports were meticulous. She'd call out defensive tendencies by memory, build defensive walls around opposing stars, and tweak offensive sets mid-practice like she was scripting a playbook for an EA Sports game. She sees the floor like Neo in The Matrix, joked Aaliyah Boston. But now she's also the director. Media frenzy and backlash. The league was split. Half the fan base applauded the decision as innovative and empowering, a sign that the WNBA was evolving. She's the Steph LeBron hybrid we didn't know we needed, one commentator said. The other half? Not so thrilled. This is dangerous, said a former WNBA coach on a talk show. You're asking a rookie to carry the physical burden of the game and the mental load of coaching. That's not sustainable. Some veterans around the league whispered that it set a bad precedent. She's incredible, one All-Star told off the record. But being a great player doesn't automatically mean you're ready to coach a professional team. Clark's response? Classic Caitlin, poised, direct, and unbothered. I'm not trying to be the hero. I'm just trying to help this team win, whatever that looks like. She often credited assistant coach Jessie Miller, who handled practice logistics and scouting. Caitlin focused on the game itself, in-the-moment adjustments, tempo control, and trust building with her teammates. Still, the dual role began to take its toll. Clark started sleeping just 4 hours a night. She reviewed film before breakfast, shot free throws until midnight, and spent bus rides crafting game plans instead of resting. In a post-game presser, a reporter asked if she was burning out. She smiled faintly. A little. But when you love the game, even the stress feels like a blessing. A league transformed. By the final weeks of the season, the Fever had gone from cellar dwellers to playoff contenders. Clark's player-coach model inspired ripple effects across the league. The Liberty began allowing Sabrina Ionescu to participate in coaching meetings. The Sun gave DeWanna Bonner power to call her own plays. Aya Wilson, in a press conference, said, "Caitlin just accelerated the evolution of player empowerment by 5 years." Nike launched a new line of Clark merch called The Strategist, featuring gear with stitched-in tactical symbols. Even NBA players chimed in. Chris Paul, that kind of leadership? That's generational. LeBron James. She's doing what Bill Russell did, and she's doing it with a jumper from half court. The final test. Indiana snuck into the playoffs as a 7 seed and faced the 2nd-seeded Liberty in the first round. The series was gritty, physical, and chess-like. Clark clashed with Sabrina Ionescu not just as players, but as field generals. In Game 3, tied with 14 seconds left, Clark called timeout and huddled her team. She drew up a decoy flare screen, then ran a misdirection handoff to herself off an inbound play she'd borrowed from the 1996 Houston Comets. Swish. Game winner. Series upset. Caitlin Clark didn't just coach her team to victory. She coached herself into history.